This is an audit for the court. Using Boca Raton as my sample. A well-designed sample can provide high confidence up to 95% while being efficient. I found waste, idle time, dormancy, no man hours on machines needed in other countries. I have 20 or more pictures of machines not being used for days all around Boca Raton, which could be used to make roads, dams, waterways, development in other countries. This is a store where they rent every machine that you need. I found waste of water, food, and recycling. This costs $11 at Pollo Tropical. This is water. Now that's a man, so the water was as high as the man. And this is a place I used to work in, Winfield Plaza. They do not recycle. So the waste cardboard, plastic, aluminum, and glass. And of course, we have the failed banks. So we have a few banks that get closed, and now we have the Paradise Bank, which was in a small location on Federal Highway in Boca, and this is the new building for the Paradise Bank. So we bet the VP from some of the failed banks is now at Paradise Bank, and he's moving some money somewhere. We have 11.8 million homes in the United States, which are valued at over $1 million. The Baldwin House, which is the house of the president of FAU, is valued at $2 million. This is the Jehovah's Witnesses property, which is right adjacent to Florida Atlantic University. There's 70,000 of these Kingdom Halls all over the world. And the reason why we're looking at it is that in each country they also have a headquarters because they get volunteers to do all the construction and they have no labor costs. Now, when President Trump was president the first time, the Jehovah's Witnesses sold this property, one of 6 in New York, to Trump Kushners for $340 million. And I've been to that building and it's very quiet, but I have another video which speaks of the link to President Dwight Eisenhower and George Washington of this organization. But I attended a business school for 10 years while working with the business model Walgreens, which merged with Boots Pharmacies of the UK. And the business school at FAU doesn't know about this business model. So using Delray Beach also, it's a very different city where I worked for 5 years after working for the state, the federal government, working for the European Union and the government of Jamaica. First in the summer when I was 17 and the summer when I was 18. So this is Delray Beach. They are so different from Boca. They build upwards. They build up high, like the northern states like New York. And this machine right here, they need something really strong for the tall buildings to take things to the top. And here's some tall buildings that they're working on. So 2022, one of the machines which lifts things to the top of a tall building, which they were doing Sunday Village, it fell and men got hurt and they went to the hospital. And so I call that Bill Kill. But now they didn't bring that machine. They brought a $500,000 machine. This one right here. You can't really see the top of it, so it won't fall and hurt anybody. And Delray Beach also has SWAT uses vehicles that are like military vehicles. So these are upwards of $300,000 for a SWAT military vehicle. And this is another SWAT military vehicle. And this is the gentrification going through Delray Beach, which the African Americans couldn't really deal with. While I was working for the city of Delray Beach code enforcement, an African American, he turned off the water at his house and he was using the water next door. I don't know how much money they gave him. I did a video for Senator John Sarbanes because he was complaining about Maryland, But I was showing him what the developers were doing in Delray Beach when they wanted to do the gentrification, take out a lady's house. The lady stays up in New York. She went and spoke to me. She said, I stay up in New York because they took down the street sign. But that's a different video. The video is called For the People Act, which Congress passed, but the Senate and the House did not pass. However, I tried my hardest when I was bullied out of the city of Delray Beach to talk to Congress, the Senate, and the House and explain what Senator John Sarbanes is describing in Maryland is worse down here in Palm Beach County. So we also have $35 billion being wasted. And we ask whose $35 billion it is. It's a failed ecosystem of drug rehabs and a swivel door of care. And I really found this data on the Chinese DeepSeek AI. So when I was in Delray Beach, this dude used to work for the city. So I guess the city discards people all the time. And he doesn't have his townhouse anymore. So these two right here said they were drinking beer and pork rind first thing in the morning. And they gave me $2 and asked me if I want to drink some beer with them. And then they said, when we fall out, they will put us in rehab. And that's the swivel door that we're talking about, because it's $50,000 for an overdose because the doctor has to see the patient, and it's $45,000 for an incarceration. And these are people proud that they have gotten over their drug addiction or alcohol addiction or any narcotics addiction. So the military went down to Venezuela and bombed the cartel boats. And somebody who was in the military told me that they're trying to keep them from trespassing into American waters. However, the media was saying it was to stop cartel boats, but the Chinese DeepSeek AI says the problem is the failed ecosystem. It fails because people relapse and go back to drugs. So this is the US is going to win in any war because now they have the armored giant robot. And here's Bill Gates. He was all choked up on another video. It's a different video. He said we owe Africa $200 billion. Yeah. So it was this video. This is a picture of him in that video getting choked up, that he's going to give Africa the $200 billion. But at least he admitted some guilt. So more irreparable than World War I and World War II, the IMF does interest rate exploitation, and there are these inequities and other financial manipulations, and they manage to run people, clans, and countries into the ground. And in Africa, it forces kleptocracy, assassination, and genocide. So a properly framed claim or charge, we have a civil case, we have to have a cause of action and the relief sought. In a criminal case, we have the alleged offenses and each statutory element of the offense. Without a legally sufficient pleading, the court will dismiss long before trial. So the legal requirements identify relevant time periods and events. An end-to-end audit for court typically refers to a comprehensive examination of a process, transaction, or system from start to finish, with the results being used as evidence in legal proceedings. The audit report is evidence in ongoing litigation, preparing to testify, or want to understand the process. Legal requirements identify relevant time periods and events, integrity, authenticity, and admission of evidence. Evidence must meet admissibility standards, relevance, and reliability. If there's a trial, we have to have voir dire, jury selection free of reversible error, opening statements that outline but do not argue evidence, direct and cross-examinations that comply with evidence rules, exhibits formally offered and admitted into the record, proper use of motions, closing arguments that tie admitted evidence to legal elements, accurate, timely proposed jury instructions, or finding of facts for a bench trial. I want to thank all the brave people. Dr. Arikana Shiambori Kwa Zimbabwe. She is quite a Dakini, so brave she got fired for bringing the data forward. I want to thank President Ibrahim Traore at Burkina Faso, who showed us what to do. Thank Professor Lumumba Kenya because he had to attend the University of Belgium where they were so prejudiced. Then he went to law school and then he knew how to speak to the world. I want to thank Pangenius TV Sandra Appiah from Ghana, Lynn Nuje from Kenya, Dr. DJ Bakwali Kenya, Professor Dr. Howard Nicholas Sri Lanka, Dr. Fadel Kabub Ohio, Bill Gates from the USA, Jean Bertrand Aristide Haiti, Professor Victor Go China. And you can see that the audit does produce some amounts that should be reparation. And we thank Dr. Arikana Shiambori again because she told us that the interest rate paid to the IMF prevented them from developing water, schools, banks, and jobs in Africa. Some of the people who contributed said that Africa is forever defeated. But I think they got a start and they won't be forever defeated. Bill Gates said US $200 billion to Africa. Jean Bertrand Aristide said US $21 billion to Haiti. Professor Victor Gao, China, speaks of global equity, and I have all these videos about US 50 billion for 31 countries. Thank you. All those people who audited the financial manipulations, all these auditors who gave estimates, all these erudites who felt some guilt, all these brave people who spoke out, all the dakinis like Dr. Arikana who got fired. Thank you.